Ask anyone who knows Native American folklore, and they will tell you the exact same thing. Skinwalkers belong to the American Southwest, to the scorching deserts of Arizona and Utah. They do not belong in the freezing wilderness of northern Maine. But nature doesn't care about our maps, and lore doesn't protect you when the rules change. My name is Ethan, and last November I found out that whatever is hiding in the North Maine Woods has learned a new trick. It's no longer just hunting animals, it's mimicking us. And if you hear your best friend calling your name from the dark woods, do not answer. I'm a surveyor for a timber company. My job is isolating. I live in remote cabins for weeks at a time, mapping out old-growth forests. Usually it's just me and my German Shepherd, Buster. If you've never been to Aroostook County, it's impossible to comprehend how massive and empty it is. Once you drive past the logging gates, civilization vanishes. There is no cell service, no electricity, and no backup. You are entirely, terrifyingly on your own. It was mid-November, right when the autumn air turns into teeth. The first heavy snow was forecasted, and the temperature had plummeted. I had just finished dinner around 7:30 in the evening. The wood stove was crackling, throwing an orange glow across the log walls, when Buster suddenly stood up. He wasn't a barker, but he was staring fixedly at the heavy oak front door, his hackles raised and his tail tucked tight between his legs. He was paralyzed with pure terror. "What is it, boy?" I asked, my voice sounding thin in the quiet room. Then I heard it, something heavy dragging itself through the frozen leaves outside. It was followed by a wet, snapping sound, like a thick bone popping out of its socket. This wasn't the clean step of a bear or a moose. It was irregular. 2 feet walking, stopping, sliding, accompanied by that awful, rhythmic cracking sound of shifting joints. I grabbed my flashlight and my Remington 12-gauge shotgun. I stepped toward the side window, unlatched the shutter just an inch, and peered out. The beam cut through the freezing mist, illuminating the thick wall of fir trees 30 yards away. Standing at the edge of the woodline was a white-tailed buck, but something was horribly wrong with it. Its neck was bent at a sickening 90-degree angle, resting flat against its right shoulder. Its front legs were unnaturally long, stretching into the snow like human arms, ending in warped hooves. And its eyes, they reflected a dull, burning, deeply intelligent, human-like red. I froze, my breath caught in my throat, freezing against the window glass. The deer wasn't eating. It was just staring directly into my flashlight beam with that twisted neck. Then, it took a step forward. It raised its front legs, its arms, and shuffled toward the cabin on its hind legs. Its joints made a loud, wet crunch with every movement. It looked like a grotesque puppet pulled by invisible, clumsy strings, its head swinging uselessly against its torso. I slammed the shutter closed, locked it, and backed away, my heart hammering violently. Buster whined in the corner, refusing to look at the walls. I tried to tell myself it was chronic wasting disease or rabies. I desperately lied to myself because the alternative was too insane to accept. I sat on the floor with my back pressed against the front door, holding the shotgun across my lap, waiting. An hour passed in agonizing silence. The wind began to howl, bringing the snowstorm and rattling the tin roof. Then the scratching started, sharp fingernails dragging slowly down the exterior log walls. Skirt. Skirt. It went all the way around the perimeter, testing for a weak spot. Buster hid his head under a blanket, and then the worst part began. From just outside the front door, fleshy, wet, and pressed right against the wood, I heard a familiar voice. "Ethan?" My blood turned to pure ice. The voice belonged to Marcus, my supervisor, but Marcus was currently in Bangor, over 300 miles south. "Ethan, open up. It's freezing out here. Let me in, man. My truck broke down." The words were friendly and familiar, but the pacing was completely mechanical. There was no breath between sentences. It sounded like a tape recording crudely chopped up and pasted back together. "Ethan, open up. It's freezing out here. Let me in, man," the voice repeated. It was the exact same cadence, a perfect, unnatural loop. "You're not Marcus," I yelled, pointing the shotgun at the door. "Get the hell away or I will blow a hole through you." The voice stopped. The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush a man. For 2 minutes, nothing happened. Then the voice changed. It didn't sound like Marcus anymore. It sounded like a chaotic chorus of different people, men and women, all speaking at once, layered in a sickening harmony. "Open, open, open. Let us in." A massive, violent thud hit the door. The thick oak groaned, and the iron hinges vibrated. At the exact same time, a frantic, heavy scratching broke out on the tin roof directly above my head. It was on the roof. It was at the door. It was everywhere at once. Panic took over. I raised my 12 gauge and fired directly through the center of the wooden door. The blast was deafening. The smell of sulfur and burnt gunpowder filled the air, choking me. Outside, a sound echoed that I will never forget. A woman laughing hysterically, mixed with the roar of a mountain lion, transitioning into a gurgling, choking sob. Then, something heavy sprinted away into the woods at an impossible speed, snapping branches as it went. I didn't sleep a single second. At sunrise, I packed my bag, grabbed Buster, and walked out to my truck, ready to leave everything behind. But before I started the engine, I looked at the fresh snow. There was blood. A thick, black, oily substance steaming against the white snow. And right next to it, there were tracks. They weren't hooves. They were the prints of a human foot, but elongated, with 5 toes ending in deep, sharp claw marks. The stride was massive. Each footprint was nearly 10 feet apart, showing it had fled on 2 legs. I drove straight to the ranger station and told the head ranger everything. Instead of laughing, he turned completely pale. He looked at me and said, "Ethan, 3 hunters went missing in that exact sector last year. Their tents were torn from the inside out. Their tracks looked like they just stood up on 2 legs and ran into the deep woods. We keep it quiet for tourism, but you're lucky you didn't open that door." I quit my job that day and moved out of Maine entirely. But sometimes when it rains heavily at night, or when the wind howls against my window, I swear I can still hear it. A hollow, distorted voice standing right outside my bedroom window, calling my name.